Hi, welcome to Balanced Health. I'm Shirley Rose, and this is Joe Costello. On this show, we often explore alternative cures and a holistic approach to physical health. But what about emotional health and marriage? The norm in society is to try and make your spouse like you, and if you don't succeed, well, then move on and find a new mate. But today we're investigating an alternative to this method and exploring how men and women can use their differences to strengthen their marriages. Joining us to help us along this journey are Dr. Walt and Barb Larimore. Dr. Walt is a medical journalist and a regular on Balanced Health. Barb taught middle school and then put her career aside to concentrate on raising their children. Together, the Larimores just completed the book His Brain, Her Brain, and have learned firsthand through 35 years of marriage how divinely designed differences can strengthen a marriage. So nice to have both of you. Barb and Dr. Walt have lots of great insights. But first, Dr. Walt brings us this week's Nutrition in the News. You get a chance and Joe gets to rest.
Well, a good marriage is a great way to avoid loneliness and cultivate a warm and supportive relationship. And two recent news stories report that good marriages impact physical health. These stories confirm much previous research that shows that people who are happily married not only tend to live longer than those who are unmarried, but also appear to live more healthy lives. For example, researchers at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, published a study of nearly 10,000 married men who had no history of chest pain. Men with elevated risk factors for heart disease, such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, older age, or abnormalities on their EKG, were over 20 times more likely to develop angina or chest pain over the 5 years of the study. However, those who answered yes to the question, "Does your wife show you her love?" had significantly less angina. Men with the same risk factors who answered no had twice as much angina. The researchers drew this conclusion, quote, "The wife's support and love is an important balancing factor which apparently reduces the risk of angina pectoris even in the presence of high risk factors," end quote.
Amazing.
Can I call my wife and get her to the television set immediately?
Barb, it's all about us. You know, we even control their heart attacks. Hello?
Yes.
It's interesting. Well, you guys have written this wonderful book called His Brain, Her Brain. Are men and women at the core really that different?
Yes, they are. They really are. A college professor gave this unpunctuated sentence to his college class, and this is how the women punctuated the sentence.
Okay.
A woman, colon, without her, comma, man is nothing.
But the guys punctuated it totally different. They punctuated it, a woman, comma, without her man, comma, is nothing.
Oh, goodness.
Well, what we have found in the scientific research is that no matter what some of the academics say about men and women being the same, we're just, environmentally different, that everyone out there listening knows men and women are different. What the Bible tells us is that we were divinely designed that way so that together we would be stronger than we ever were apart.
And it's only when we appreciate and honor these differences in each other that both sexes reap all the benefits.
Well, they're there. I mean, we can ignore them if we want to, but they're there.
That's right, and God created them.
So our goal today is kind of two-pronged. Number one, if people can go in and pursue their relationships, understanding that not only they're different, but they're supposed to be, right? That's kind of the first step. And our second goal, I think, here today is to have people realize how relationships are going to be a mirror image of their health.
It's true.
Good, happy relationships, nice, peaceful, long life. Stressful, relationships, angina, heart attack. I really hope my wife is watching this program.
But it works for her too. A recent study last year from the University of Pittsburgh showed that in women who are in a happy, satisfying marriage, that their risk of heart attack, stroke, cardiovascular disease was significantly reduced. Our life is not only longer, but the quality of that life is improved as those two differences come together.
That's just fascinating.
What biological point can we actually start seeing these differences? I mean, how early on can we medically, clinically, physically tell it, oh yeah, there's some physical, structural differences to the emotions?
At the point of conception, when the sperm and egg join and we become an unborn child, living, valuable, a human life. At that point, just the genetic differences in the brain, they've identified 54 genes that are different in the male and female brain formation at conception. And then not long after that, at about 6 weeks of gestation, in his body, his little unborn body, there's this surge of the hormone testosterone. Joe, it thickens his bones, especially his skull. He tends to become hard-headed. It divides his brain. The connection between the two brains, the corpus callosum, is dissolved in the male brain. And the testosterone also starts his muscles twitching. With one exception, every muscle in the little boy twitches. There's one where in the little girl it twitches more. It's the perioral muscles.
I don't know if we want to go down.
It never stops.
So these differences start at conception. Does that mean that the male sperm doesn't ask for directions to the egg?
Well, maybe that's why there's so many of them. Just one egg.
Oh, they won't ask directions. Trust me about that.
Billions of them. Well, and now we know that there are reasons for those differences in how we perceive and how we think and how we process. It happens every day.
How about beyond reproductive organs, what other physiological differences do we see besides what's obvious? Talk about
we
that.
see a lot of differences between the way men and women communicate and in the sex arena. In the way that we communicate, yeah.
So you're talking like body
one?
language when you're talking about communication?
Oh, body language,
talk about
perception, the way she hears compared to the way he hears, the way she sees, the way she decodes what he is saying, the way he decodes what she says. He is more direct, she is very indirect. And talk about a ballpark away
and
from each other.
That's all programmed into the brain, into the makeup of our brain.
It is. It's all our chemicals and hormones and the way we process. Even that's different.
I love the fact that finally I know why, Barb, that we talk more. Address this. Why do women talk more and men don't?
Yeah, well, when we look at the formation of the brain, a woman's two sides of the brain are very highly connected by an 8-lane superhighway, and it connects her verbal and her emotional centers together in a profound way. Guys don't have that connection. So when it comes to, for example, processing emotional stimuli, we tend to talk to ourselves. A woman tends to talk to someone else, particularly another woman. Barb cannot process well unless she's talking, particularly to another woman. In my case, I can't process when I talk to her. And so we've had to learn that's part of our divine design. In fact, that's why we spent 2 chapters in the book talking about communication and another 2 chapters talking about sex, because in 35 years of not only looking at our own marriage but counseling others, those are 2 arenas in which there's a great deal of conflict. We believe when people understand these differences that it actually strengthens their relationship.
Well, communication, we all know, is key to a good marriage. So that's a huge communication problem when you actually communicate so totally different. Quickly, can you tell us how you can overcome that problem?
Well, Barb's got a great example.
When I'm talking with Walt, I need to have his attention. And so in order to get his attention, to get him out of his man cave,
Yes. Where he's just thinking.
I need to give him a few little pointers. First of all, I ask him if he's available to let me run a few things by him.
Okay.
And then I will tell him if I want it solved, or if I want input, or if I just need to have him listen to me.
Because they can't figure that out
At
themselves,
least
right?
you tell them.
Well,
I go through this big guessing game.
Right.
Well,
So
yeah.
this eliminates
That's
the
good.
guessing game.
That's the point, because we're built to fix things. And when she puts me off and says, I just want you to listen, Joe, I'm free. I'm free.
He's home
That's
free.
great. Well, to learn more about Dr. Walt and Barb's writings, visit drwalt.com. And to get a copy of today's show, give us a call at the number on your screen. How does your marriage affect your health and your health affect your marriage? Well, Dr. Walt and Barb will explain the connection when we return. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and this is so good.